Is that the very same thing that happened during the Middle Ages when the saints of the Most High were killed by this power? Absolutely. That's what prophecy teaches. So the question is, what happened in 1798? It must be that the sword that the beast used to kill, that sword arose and gave it the deadly wound. So who would give the deadly wound to the beast? It would have to be the what? The state. The civil power would have to give the papacy the wound, because the sword represents the civil power. So if he killed with the sword of the civil power, and that sword is going to hurt him or is going to give him the deadly wound, it must mean that the civil power would give the church the deadly wound. And that's exactly what happened in 1798. 1798 was the culmination of the French Revolution. The French Revolution started in 1789. And it was a reaction against kingly intolerance. And it was against priestly power wrongly exercised. And on February 12, 1798, General Berthier, the general of the troops of Napoleon Bonaparte, entered Vatican City, arrested Pope Pius VI, and took him prisoner to France, where he died in exile. And so everybody thought that the papacy at this point had been killed by this civil power of France. In fact, let me read you some interesting statements from historians where they say that everybody thought that the papacy was dead. And these are secular historians. Notice this first one. The papacy was extinct. Not a vestige of its existence remained. And among all the Roman Catholic powers, not a finger was stirred in its defense. The eternal city had no longer prince or pontiff. Its bishop was dying captive in foreign lands. And the decree was already announced that no successor would be allowed in its place. In another quotation, Joseph Rickaby says this about the French Revolution and the deadly wound. No wonder that half of Europe thought Napoleon's veto, that the veto means that Napoleon had said no more popes. No wonder that half of Europe thought Napoleon's veto would be obeyed, and that with the Pope, the papacy was dead. Another, T.H. Gill, in his book, The Papal Drama, says this about what happened in 1798. Multitudes imagined that the papacy was at the point of death and asked, would Pius VI be the last pontiff, and if the close of the 18th century would be signalized by the fall of the papal dynasty. And one further quotation, the papacy had suffered its deepest humiliation and appeared to be annihilated. Notice the terminology, appeared to be annihilated. The revolution also dealt it the wound which it seemed did not want to heal until far into the 20th century. And the ironic thing is that the first nation that gave the Roman Catholic papacy temporal power was Clovis, king of the Franks, in the year 508. That's why France is known as the eldest daughter of the papacy. And the very nation that first gave temporal power to the Roman Catholic Church